If you're looking for a mid-size SUV in our market today, we're taking a look at another one. This is yet another Chinese EV brand to hit our market after quite some anticipation. Today, we're taking a look at this. This is the XPENG G6 mid-size SUV. And is this the EV worth waiting for? Today, let's find out. Today's episode is brought to you by Sgcarmart Smart Loan. Sgcarmart Smart Loan is designed to save you time and money through a digitalized loan application via MyInfo for your used car purchase at below market interest rates. For a limited time only, get $500 cashback and a 6 months Kinto membership worth $1,200 when you apply for a loan today. To find out how much money you'll save when buying a used, personal or private hire car, click on the link in the description below. The XPENG G6 is priced at $222,000. The single electric motor produces 255 brake horsepower and 440 Newton meters of torque. The single-speed transmission brings the car from 0 to 100 km per hour in 6.6 seconds. The 66 kWh battery has a drive range of 435 km. For more details on the XPENG G6 or any other car, head on to sgcarmart.com to help you make the smart choice on your next car. Starting off by the front, perhaps of all the colors, black is the perfect color for this. It is rather deceivingly small. When you see it in person, it is rather sizable. After all, this is a 4.8 meters long SUV. Up here, fully curvaceous, no sharp angles. It looks like one monolithic piece. Then you see the XPENG badge right here. This is the new Chinese EV brand. XPENG, it's all about AI, all about smartness. Down here, very sleek daytime running lights running through almost the center, splitted by that badge. And then down here is your headlamp cluster with a little bit of a grille down below. Now let's move on to the side. Now moving down by the side, you're going to find 20-inch rims. This car comes in two trims, rear-wheel drive standard range as well as rear-wheel drive long range. Previously, the rear-wheel drive standard range came with smaller rims, but this time they say both trims come with 20-inch rims, so that's a treat if you're going for the standard range. You get XPENG badge right here with camera housings all around, as well as 5mm wave radar that will help with a lot of your sensing as well as parking detection, and a little bit more on that later. Follow the sleek roofline down here, and then you'll notice for its coupe SUV shape, especially in other colors, not so much for the black one, this curves kind of help to deceive you, to make it look sportier than it actually is. Down here you also get hiding away door handles that will pop out when you unlock the car, and then this is your charge port right here with 280 kilowatt DC fast charging, 11 for AC. Now let's move on to the rear. Now, moving over to the rear, this is where all your shapes start to congregate, and for a very bulbous mess right here, you get your high mount brake light which hides your rear wiper, which is a very nice touch. Sloping down, it gets a very obtrusive kind of shape. Very minimalistic, sleek lights right here. You get a camera housing, XPENG G6, and then you open up your tailgate, power tailgate as standard to 571 liters worth of boot space, which is plenty in this SUV size. This will it pass the anti-trolley length test? It actually does pass the anti-trolley length test. So no problem at all, cargo space is aplenty. Underneath you have a tire repair kit if you need. And then you get XPENG X Opera 13 speaker surround sound setup with 960 watts. Now let's check out the inside. Now over in the rear of the XPENG G6, I'm 1.75 meters tall. This is my headspace and this is the comfortable leg space for my driving position, but not my driving position exactly, because this chair is currently set in easy entry mode, so it's pulled back all the way. Only until when I sit in front will it draw in front for the settings that you're safe with. So you can see even with the seat all the way back here, I still have some leg space. I'm 1.75 meters tall. Again, magazine holders right here. Rear USB air vents, very convenient, and then two USB-C fast charging. You get a flat boot floor, so if there's nobody in the middle, or rather you're gonna move over to the middle, it is rather easy, very comfortable. You can, tuck your legs in very easily. So 3 people sitting side by side should be quite fine. Although your headspace is starting to creep closer to the top, there's still plenty of space, and your headspace is extended by this panoramic moonroof that's really darkened out to cut out all the UV rays, so things don't feel that hot inside this glass roof. However, if there's nobody in the middle, you want to move over, you can pull down this rear armrest, and then you can push this for a hide away cup holder, have your drinks right here, and then lounge while you're driving off. Now, otherwise, in terms of amenities, the rest of the rear is rather Spartan. It's nice, you get nice textures right here along the door, fabric material, it kind of really reminds me of a Tesla. It's kind of, this is what you need and this is what you get. It's a very darkened, because it's one color all around, so things start to feel a little bit too dark. Now, let's check out the front. Now, over by the front of the XPENG G6, again, things are rather Spartan. Even your steering wheel, it gets a really oblong shape, and you get very, very minimalistic buttons, which work, you know. Right here is your media controls. Right here is actually aircon, so you can actually toggle your temperature as well as your fan speed from here, which is a really nice touch. But this also controls your ADAS, and then of course, you have one tap button for your voice activation, or you could always say, "Hey XPENG." And then down here is just your gear selector, as well as your wiper. Your lights have to be controlled inside here, just with along with many other things. Your mirror setting, your drive mode. But what I like about the drive mode is that it's very, very customizable. You can select your pedal response, your pedal stiffness, your steering feedback. So a lot of controls are inside there. So you also get Eco, Normal, and Sport, as well as individual drive modes. So you get very, very customizable driving options. Aircon controls is also kind of inside here. Some of it is written down here on your steering wheel, and then you also get the touch control, and you also get ventilated seats. But air direction of your aircon will have to be done from the touch screen as well. And then moving down here, you get two active air cooling wireless fast charging. So things are very lovely. What I really like about this car is that actually the aircon is right here. So while you can shift your aircon to, I like the aircon to blow my hands as well, my person, so this is a good location. But more than that, it also, when you put your phone here for wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, it starts to heat up, right? Especially together with wireless charging. Well, your active air cooling is right here, so that I feel like it actually sucks the cool air from the aircon right down here, right past your phone. So whenever I pick up my phone from wireless charging as well as wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it is super cool to the touch. And then down here, you get a very deep cubby space, as well as a little bit more storage space down here. So if you want 12-volt and USB-C fast charging, or for wired Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you can use through there as well. The rest of the cabin is also very dark, very Spartan. And then your amber alert, then your hazard light signal is right here. Other than that, most of what you need to access again is inside this screen right here. And if you want your access to your smart parking, you're gonna have to do it right here. So when you're driving, all this information will show up, and I'll show you a little bit more on that later. Now, the rest of the cabin, again, there's not much to go on, but at least in the front you get electric and ventilated seats. I really like the speakers. These speakers are another kind of system that you have to test out for yourself. These are XPENG proprietary speakers, so they call it X Opera. 13 speaker with surround sound, and when you make a call, you actually really listen to the surround sound. It actually sounds like it's coming from right here, so it's very, very nice touch. Now, does this car drive as well as it looks? Only one way to find out. So, driving the XPENG G6, what does it feel like? Well, it feels futuristic. It reminds me, when you look at it on the outside, it looks like you're driving a really high-tech egg, this coupe SUV. It kind of feels like, you know, one of those futuristic movies where the humans don't have to do anything, and they're just set inside this super aerodynamic shape thing, and that's kind of what it feels like. Well, this one is not there yet because, you know, in Singapore, under LTA, we still only have level 2 self-driving, and you can see a lot of those elements inside this XPENG G6. Like when you creep up to the traffic light, you can see on the instrument panel where it shows your lane markings, the car in front. It can tell you that, you know, the traffic light is telling you whether or not you can go straight or turn right or turn left. So it really feels like you can see a lot of elements of that full self-driving that are here that just unfortunately aren't available to Singapore yet. So it kind of feels like that, and that kind of goes with everything else in the car. XPENG likes to talk about AI and the future and tech, and I feel like that's what you kind of feel like driving this car. You get a lot of high-tech features. The screen here is one of the highest refresh rates I've seen, and one of their most famous features is also something like their auto park. So things really feel very high-tech, and inside, everything is inside here, kind of like a lot of cars today. And this also feels very familiar, kind of almost like it's made to go up against a Tesla, because You got your fabric interior, you got your huge screen right here. When you turn on the turn signal, your camera appears here. Almost pretty much all your controls are inside your screen right here. It's kind of like the Gen 1 Tesla where you still have your most stops right here. But of course, this is coupe SUV, so it feels like it's going up more against the Model Y than something like the Model 3, which has seen the facelift in the form of the Model 3 Highland. And when you're driving this, it feels like a really easy car to pilot. Currently in Singapore, we have the standard range and the long range, but we don't have the performance yet. And I have to say, the cars kind of drive like that. They don't feel like, it doesn't feel like it's meant to take corners super hard with super direct response, but yet at the same time, it's a very pleasant car to drive. I feel every bit of the road, and I like that there's a lot of customizability within the menu, so I can adjust not just my regenerative braking settings, but independently my regenerative braking as well as my brake pedal settings. So I can feel how much of a brake feedback that I want, how much of a regenerative braking that I want. Both are independent settings. And then also things like your drive modes. You get a lot of customizability. And in that sense, I think this further adds on to the feel that this car, it feels like a high-tech toy. And it's also like, again, going back to what it feels like, a Gen 1 Tesla where it feels a lot less car-like than your typical car. But yeah, at the same time, you still got your buttons right here. But at the same time, your mirrors are controlled within the screen right here with the buttons. So it's kind of an in-between like that. If you compare this against a lot of models around its price range, it's starting to creep into the premium segment in this kind of price. But to me, this XPENG doesn't really feel so premium. It feels like you're paying a lot more for its tech toys, and that's what you're getting. So it doesn't really feel like it's reaching up there in the premium. Things are nice, things are comfortable, but still a little bit ways away from a premium. So like things like the plasticness of the aircon controls, your buttons up here kind of feel like they've been used in other car parts, and the feel on the stalks right here also, I kind of feel like they can be done a little bit better. But that's when it feels like the money that you're paying for this car is going into the tech and the features that you're feeling. In fact, even the steering wheel kind of feels like it's minimalistic. On the left, you got your ADAS controls as well as your aircon when you're not controlling your ADAS. On the right is your media controls. But even the feel of this, like, it doesn't feel so much like a sports. They like to make it a console type steering instead of like a steering wheel. But this kind of reminds me of something like a game controller, something like your Game Gear. And that's kind of like what it feels like. It feels like you're piloting an intelligent machine and less so of a car. In terms of power, there are two trims. So in your standard, you're going to get some 200 plus, and in your long range, you're going to get slightly a little bit more power. I feel like this is a very good, comfortable range because it's not super fast, because this isn't a performance. They still have a performance that may or may not be coming into Singapore just yet. But performance is nice and fun for a while, but I think as we see with the sales and even with the resale of performance cars, that's something that not everybody wants, because while it's fun, after a while that raggedy road tax really does get to you. Every year you're paying $4,000, $5,000. Over the 10 years of your car's life, that's an additional $40,000 to $50,000. So this car with some 200 plus brake horsepower, I believe somewhere in the range of 268, it comes with a very relatively, for EVs, healthy road tax of about $2,000. And I think that's a lot more palatable, and it still feels quick. I believe this is, it still feels quick. It's not breakneck fast, it's not sluggish. When you put the pedal to the metal, it's still single motor, rear wheel drive, so still get a little bit of fun, but I feel like it's just enough fun. Maybe 100 plus brake horsepower is slightly a little bit too little, leaving you wanting, but this feels like it's just nice. Now in terms of safety, you're gonna find your XPENG Pilot, so kind of, again, tap down the stalk twice and you're gonna activate your active cruise control. Tap it on once again, and then you're gonna activate your lane centering assist. And all of that feels pretty good. There are certain brands that I feel like they don't do it just as well. The one inside here does do quite a good job. However, there's one little gripe that I feel like I haven't been able to activate the turn assist. So when you're on active cruise control with the setting set up inside the menu. When you turn on the signal, it's supposed to help you switch your lanes, but so far I haven't been able to do that. And then when you go over to the XPENG AI as well, I kind of feel like it's also a little bit lacking. I feel like I felt better AIs inside the car. So, hey XPENG, open the windows.
Driver's window is open.
So it's a little bit slow, I kind of feel like. And also at the same time, I feel like other brands' AI can have a little bit more response. Hey XPENG. And also a little bit faster. Hey XPENG.
Hi.
What can you do? And then it just disappears. Like I've been trying to figure out, hey XPENG, what can you do? But it's just, hey XPENG,
Hello.
set the temperature to 22 degrees.
Temperature is adjusted.
So for some basic controls, it handles pretty well, but I feel like in the higher ends one, you can be able to ask them, what do you want to do? And they'll be able to tell you, oh, this is the kind of stuff that I can meddle with. But that being said, I have to give the XPENG G6 props, because for a car of this size, about 4.8 meters, it actually, an SUV, right? It actually drives really well. Even though it's not like a performance model, it still holds its own pretty well, and it's a little bit on the stiff side, the suspension. It's kind of jiggly a little bit, but I feel like it gives you a lot of confidence, and the feedback is very, very direct. So even though it's not the performance model, you know, with all its performance tweaks just yet, changing out parts for the higher end, stiffer parts, I feel like this is a very good mix for your day-to-day driving. And then also add to that the addition of the very, very customizable drive mode within the menu. I really like the way this XPENG drives. And something just fell off that car. Not this car, that car. So, all that said, is the XPENG G6 a will buy, won't buy, or go try? Well, if you ask me, I think that the XPENG G6 is a go try. Well, because this is a very competitive segment, and this XPENG G6 does provide a very useful proposition. I feel like this is a very useful kind of like a high-tech, a higher-end car. Let's look at the competition. If you ask me, I think it goes up against the Ioniq 5. It goes up against definitely the Tesla Model Y. The Ioniq 5, if you look at the 77 kilowatt hour, this comes in at some 86 kilowatt hours worth of battery. That is some very useful, very tasty range, all for around the same price, with some 560 kilometers of WLTP range. This is a very useful thing. It's not the most luxurious, it's not the most treaty, it doesn't have a heads-up display. If you go for the Ioniq 5, you're going to get a heads-up display. The screens are really nice. This active cooling is really one of the best ones, especially because the aircon is right here, so I feel like the airflow comes right out with a cool airflow right into your active cooler with the air vent here. So my phone has been wirelessly charging and plugged up to wireless Android Auto, and it's still really cool to the touch. So that's one of the really rare things that you see. So again, it kind of feels like it's a car that really has all the tech sorted out for you, and it's a really nice thing to have. It doesn't compare in the most luxuriousness, it doesn't compare in the most performance, but it's nice own little package. So before I picked this car up, I was a little bit wondering about, you know, there's so many Chinese EV brands in the market right now. Is it a little bit too oversaturated? But this definitely sticks out on its own, and it stands out above the rest in its own regard. So I feel like if you want a car like this XPENG G6, you're definitely going to want something techy. You're definitely going to want something that's a little bit more ahead of the curve. And I usually don't say this about, you know, self-parking, but you have to try out this self-parking. It's one of the most intuitive, and it's one of the most fun to use. In fact, I never ever use self-parking if not for just testing out the feature, but the one inside here is really quite a treat. So that's what I feel like this XPENG G6 delivers. And in terms of competitors, there's also, obviously, it's gonna go up against the Ioniq 5. I feel like Ioniq 5 is a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more refined. Things are a little bit more colorful and kind of like lounge-like, gives you a more lifestyle vibe. And then of course there is the Model Y, which kind of feels like this. Things are very dark, things are very one-color monotonous, but you get a very nice techie systems. But as of yet, we still have yet to see the Juniper update. So I feel like by this time it's a little bit dated. They're still paying at around the same price, and even then, this still comes with an edge over in terms of battery capacity for around the same price. And that's why I feel like, with all that being said, XPENG G6 is a go try. So that's it. That's our review of this XPENG G6 single motor long range. What do you think? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know down in the comments below, as well as any other car that you'd like to see us try out. Do leave it in the comments and we'll read every single one of these. Now, if you've made it this far, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our future uploads. And lastly, do follow us on TikTok for the fun stuff. We are at Sgcarmart. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.